Yeah, and then I entered the velodrome in Roubaix, and I didn't know in which position I was. And I just told myself, Rosa, this is your first time ever going into a velodrome. You're gonna keep it chill. You're not gonna crash out the entire group.
That was your first time riding?
Yes.
The first time you rode
so
a velodrome was the velodrome of Roubaix in Roubaix. That
it
is
was
so
crazy.
I'm off-road racer Payson McElveen. For the past 6 years, I've hosted a podcast about the people and the places that bike racing takes me. Now we're sharing some of those stories here, as I chase the 2025 Life Time Grand Prix. So we're here at Unbound. I made it, but it'll be in a different capacity. Training is going really, really well, and it's fun to be back at this event. But I can't race yet, sadly, because the bone is doing everything it should on the right timeline. But if I were to fall on it again at this point, it would be bad news, very bad news. And the likelihood of a crash at Unbound in a group of 200 guys going 200 miles is pretty high. So doing the right thing, getting in some good training rides, supporting our household full of Allied athletes. And I'm going to be on the live TV commentary, which is fun because they're really pulling out all the stops this year to cover the race live and do like a proper live TV coverage. And so I got the call about doing some commentary, which I think will be a fun to experience. There's the main sort of play-by-play guy, Bill Elliston, who's a veteran of this sort of thing. He announces all the Lifetime Grand Prix races. And then Meredith Miller, who's kind of a legendary bike racer. And then myself will be in the studio. And we had a production meeting this morning, and I was kind of expressing that I'm a little bit nervous, actually. And Bill was like, oh, it's just like a 6-hour podcast. You'll be fine. So I was like, oh, a 6-hour podcast. That sounds pretty hard, but we'll see. Oh, that's the other thing. Nichole is racing the 100. So I'm not doing Unbound.
Participating, please.
But Nico is.
I'm participating in a cycling event. I'll be trying hard, but participating.
We're not allowed to claim any sort of competitiveness whatsoever beforehand, but let me tell you, there's some competitiveness going on. Apparently we're getting a new dog.
Owen, nice to meet you.
They're still in Q&A thing and movie screening. Would it be ridiculous if I went in my kit? Here he is. You coming to watch a movie about your country? Absolutely. Oh, hit me in the feels.
We're going to take a 5-minute break, and then we're going to watch Crossings, Payson's film about crossing in New Zealand. And so please do hang out.
With each one, we try to build out a little bit more story around the ride too, so you get a better sense of the place and the people that call that place home. So this is Crossing New Zealand. Thanks for coming. When you show up in a new place and you're trying to get your footing, it's
I meant to tell you that earlier.
You noticed?
Yeah.
See, I haven't been at races, so
Yeah. Woo!
SW. What does SW actually stand for?
Speed weaponry.
Speed weaponry.
Yeah. Because there's S, SW, and NSW. And that's how you know the different level of the wheel. So S is like our baseline.
Yeah.
SW is like the next level up. And then NSW is like that.
Speed weaponry.
Yeah, so like in this box, so this is like my breakdown of what I pack. It's just how I think through things better. And so this changes all the time. So I'll just wipe it off with Sharpie. And so it's a combination of what the race is, how many athletes I have, what group sets they typically run, and like what frame they're on will determine kind of how many I take of each. My stand is actually cut down to size, so it's a really short stand. I spend most of my time packing and unpacking. These are the essentials. At the moment, tape, knife, tire lever, screwdriver, side cutters, and needle nose, scissors, rotor tools / opening brakes, Allen keys, spoke pick, and T25. And this, I wear like a cool little apron. So it's ready for easy.
We want to pretend like we're hanging out as friends.
I mean, we are.
I actually am genuinely curious how you feel about this race.
I feel like there's just more that's out of my control with Unbound. So if I put all my eggs in the basket, like, I mean, all my eggs are in the basket in some ways. Like, I've trained, like, this is a big race for me, but
it definitely feels more unpredictable.
It feels so unpredictable. Like, gosh, you could put everything into it and focus your entire calendar around it, and then you get a flat or two, which is very likely. Yeah. And then you're just out of it. And then you're just like, I don't know. It's so disappointing. So I try to, like, I care to a certain point. Like, I'm extremely prepared. I'm nervous. Tomorrow I'll be super nervous. But, like, I mean, I care about every race. Like, I told Dennis, I was like, I care equally about Unbound and somehow a 4-corner cyclocross race with like 4 8-year-olds that I'm racing. No, I'm gonna talk in like general terms, because this is where like gravel is. Well, one, I don't actually know. I wasn't part, like, I'm not on the off-road team. I'm part of the Specialized as a brand, as G is as well. But like, I think there's this collective, like, we're not going to ride negatively for each other. So, like, if Annika's in a break, I certainly will not be the one chasing that breakdown.
Right.
Nor will Sophia, nor will G. Yeah. And, you know, that's that. Yes, we want the brand to win sort of thing. Yeah. But I think a race like Unbound is so interesting. And I think this applies to men's racing as well. We're not quite there for, like, dedicated teams to have like a GC leader or like the chosen one to win. It's still everyone's race. I think that and so there's like this weird conflict.
Yeah, there's only one person who actually has a domestique, and it's
No, I just think that especially for women's racing, like, look at what happened with Rosa. Like, her whole career was made by a win. Yep. But had she been working for Carolyn Schiff, you know, I know. It's just like,
it really, the alliances and the teammates are just excuses to not have to roll through.
For sure. And I played that for sure last year. Yeah. Like when Sophia flatted and there was a group working, like Ellen waited for Sophia and helped her back in. Yeah. And G and I just didn't do any work. Yeah. And it sucked because I had to tell my friend Danny. She was like, "Oh, come on, mate." And I was like, "Sorry, Sophia's back there." And she's like, "But this isn't a road race." And I was like, "But it is."
Yeah, last year definitely felt like a road race.
Yeah, so, but this year I think the mud is going to be a bit of a factor. It's just a little bit more technical, so.
I have a question about your pit crew. What do the responsibilities look like? So you roll in. What does Anna do? What does Dylan do?
Yeah, I have like 3, or like, I guess 2.5 in case, because Anna takes care of so many people. Dylan is on bike duty. Mm-hmm. So like if it's like lubing a chain, maybe that's it. Or maybe it's just ice sock or whatever. But it's just like making sure the bike is fine, and then power washing if it's muddy. I have Rafa, Brandon, he's in charge of jamming a bladder into my skin suit. Yep. I have to stop. I know a lot of women are probably going to roll through, but we got it down to like under 10 seconds.
Whoa. So you've been practicing?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So I like yoink the bladder out, drop it. Brandon shoves the bladder in. I'm grabbing bottles. He puts some musette around my neck, and I grab my bottles. Maybe Dylan or Anna grabs bottles, and then I'm putting gels in my pockets. Yep. And so I have the musette just in case everyone's rolling, and I haven't jammed everything in yet, and I can just still roll.
Yep. How many bottles are you taking plus the bladder?
I have a 950
Yeah.
big one, and then I have a 750, and then I have a 1.5 liters on my back.
Yeah.
And that's like the max I can take because I'm a short fry.
Small triangle.
Small fry. Yeah, I found my fender on the side of the road.
A small fry.
Oh yeah, that was awesome.
I know, people were really stoked on that. Yeah, I should have put it. Oh, I should have put it here.
I think it would be fun if you could talk a little bit about, because obviously the aid stations are really boring for a long time.
Dude, yeah.
And then it just ramps, and then all of a sudden it's absolute chaos for 20 seconds, and then it's over.
Yeah, it's funny because it's like when you're racing, once the gun goes off, like the stress kind of goes out the window. But like for us, it's like stressful all day long because like we have to get out of here as fast as we can, rush to the feed zone, stake out a spot.
Well, you're at the start.
Yeah, so we go to the start. We're gonna send a runner out to the feed zone to stake out a spot.
Yep.
And then we gotta like get there as fast as we can, set all our stuff up, and then we wait for 4 hours for you guys to show up.
Oh my god.
And we just like,
What do you do?
dude, honestly, like sometimes I take Norm for a walk. You know, hang out. Like the time goes pretty quick, but the whole time you're kind of just stressing out
Antsy,
because you're
yeah.
like trying to figure out what's happening in the race with like minimal coverage,
Yeah.
like timing mats, and like hopefully everyone's chips are, you know, you're just trying to figure out what's happening and like hopefully everything's going well, and then like trying to also figure out what you're going to need to do in the feed zone. Like, are they going through a ton of mud? Are we going to be like pressure washing bikes in the feed zone? Like all those things. And then, yeah, and then they show up and it's like, do everything as fast as you can. And then they leave and then we pack up as fast as we can, go straight to the next feed zone.
Yeah.
And do the same thing all over again, like wait for 4 hours and like, and then we do the same thing going to the finish. We try to make it to the finish because like ideally we could do the second aid and then make it for the finish of the men's race. So we like hustle back, try to catch the finish of the men's race. Last year I wasn't able to make it back. And then, yeah, you just sit at the finish line just stressed out until you like see everyone cross the line.
Yep.
And it's just, yeah, it's brutal for like 9.5, 10 hours.
Yeah. Anna, how do you kill the 4 hours?
There's a coffee cart that came to the
Oh,
aid
nice.
station one year.
Oh, yeah, 2
I think
years
2
ago.
years ago.
Yeah.
That was
So funny. They spend
amazing.
so much. Dylan and Anna spend more time together than I spend with Dylan or Anna on these weekends.
Yeah. Dude,
Come
like,
over here.
He was starting a coffee shop, like made all these pre-batch lattes. And he was
Pre-batch
like,
lattes,
cruising
dang.
around with this cooler cart selling pre-batch lattes.
No way.
That's so
Honestly,
nice.
you can
So
make
good.
That's
so
brilliant.
Much money doing
Yeah.
that too.
I think
Oh my
Anna
God,
bought,
this is
half
like-
of them.
Jason, we never see this.
No, I know.
Yeah.
That's why we want to talk about this
It
stuff.
only happened that one time. I haven't seen it since.
Yeah, we haven't.
And
He
it's
hasn't
such
been
a
back.
big bummer because I
We
want
haven't
coffee.
seen it since.
Yeah.
And y'all leave so early, and we're in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, that's the other thing. There's not really anything
I know.
to do out
I'm
there.
always like
Yeah.
worried about like, well, not worried. I mean, I always like hope that you have like a nice day,
Yeah.
and then I just know that you're just eating all the like garbage food that I didn't eat. that
Yeah,
I
I
had
just
bought.
drive around eating like Oreos and donuts and chips and like just eat hot garbage all day.
Yeah.
Norman loves Unbound because he gets so much attention.
Here's another trivia question.
Great.
Do you know what SW stands for?
I remember driving to Tucson and talking to Nico about this, and I asked him, and now I'm blanking.
Speed weaponry.
No, I would never have remembered that.
Really, that's like
Yeah.
like Zip's slogan.
I know. Now I know.
Good luck
Yeah.
tomorrow. Have fun.
Thanks, dude.
I'm
Are
really
you
jealous.
gonna be in the chopper?
I'm in a small closet on Main Street for 7 hours.
You
Are you
don't
on
even
the
get
live
to go
feed?
out on the road?
I thought you were gonna. Someone told me you were gonna be in the chopper.
I love how rumors emerge.
He is.
I'm actually going to be paragliding over you guys. It's going to be really
I think
cool.
I helped that rumor continue.
You do that sometimes, Sturm.
No.
Wouldn't this be funny? I'm going to go tell everyone that this is reality. Sturm
Let's
special.
see how far it gets. It gets far.
Yeah, I know. You don't want help putting bikes away or anything?
Nope, no clue.
All right.
There's been people bothering me all day.
I know. I'm sorry. We'll leave you alone.
I need that 20 minutes of solitude. Yeah. Just see what I. Okay, bikes, you got a lot of work to do tomorrow. The synergy needs to flow throughout. We need to burn some sage. When I build a couple Rampage wheels, I burn some sage.
They need the extra.
That's a tall order.
Sweet. Nailed it. Starts right there. Go get him. Yeah, it's coming along. This was like 3 weeks later. I could have done it, but I just can't fall on the hip still. So it's all good. It'll be a fun day anyway. It's hard to see from here. I never realized how many freaking people are in your way. How you doing, dude? When did it hit?
Last week.
Fuck. What was it?
Just a little moment.
God damn it.
I just tried to limp to it.
Like the second you step off the merry-go-round, it makes you feel a little insecure. Just like, can I get back on? Of course we will, but it's just weird to be on the sideline.
We're gonna be also funny to observe how
Oh yeah, it is interesting to see it from the outside. A lot of people going narrower this year. It's interesting. Slight fear of mud holes.
Welcome back. This is Rosa Kloser.
So for the ladies, we have Dennis and Dylan on like the primary spotting, and then I'm just helping out as like backup, grabbing whatever extra we need. Just kind of like floater, maybe a happy face. We'll see. I think Deanna's planning on rolling through, and I think Sarah's gonna do a really fast like Bolero bladder swap. They're practicing that, and they got it to like a 7-second like swoop swoop. So I'll do the sound effects maybe. That's my job right now. Boys went through, got those feeds, so that was good. It's really nice to have that under the belt. Settles a little bit.
What happened to that lady?
I'm trying to do 2 on the same hose, and it's kind of stressing me out.
I'm rigged up. Got a GoPro. Word on the streets is that she crashed, but she's okay, and I think now she's back in the main group. So we'll see, like, how she's feeling when she comes through.
Oh yeah, so our spotters just said they saw someone from Rappa coming.
Okay.
Okay. Let's get ready.
Yes.
You have to deal with it.
That was a good Chloe practice with the teeth.
Back up. Next one. Ha!
Her bars are crooked.
And you said
I was like,
Deal with it.
yeah, you're dealing with it. Sorry, bro. Back it all up. Do it again. Again.
Let the fans know what's going on out here.
It's not time. Paused first 2 minutes after Zabu, and then Nikki's somewhere in no man's land on a little walkabout.
Cool.
So yeah, then you can be ready for Zabu.
Yeah, maybe if Zabu needs anything.
If you want to take tech, and then if you want to take just like extras, that'd be great. And then you can be ready, so you don't have to stress. And then we've got our floater.
Yeah, tracking.
Holy shit! Sorry. Look down for 1 second.
Wow, he caught back up to that, those guys.
That was close.
Hey, Sarah. Nice work, you're doing well.
We're looking at our two chasers in the men's race, and you can see a moment ago that the cross went really hit.
Again, I feel like the chance is with our leaders a little bit more, unless there's some sort of major implosion. But hopefully we get we do have one, 6.7 miles. Man, this is. It's getting time to start thinking about how this is going to shake out through these two leaders.
Just 11 kilometers left to go. Amazing.
Boy, Cam is just stuck on the front right now. It's he's getting suckered into this a little bit, and you gotta feel for the young guy. He's having an absolute career day. Personally, I'd love to see him swap off a little bit, but it's coming down to some clever tactics.
All right, Cam, in my opinion, even though he knows he might be stronger in a sprint, he's got to assume that maybe Simon is going to...
Whoa, look at this, look at this,
oh,
look at this.
I was just gonna
He's
say.
riding away. No way. Cam Jones with the attack right from the front. So Simon Jones wasting no time below. I'll tell you what, we couldn't have asked for a better day. Coming across the line with a huge win.
Unbelievable. I mean, he didn't just win Unbound either. He just won himself a career. That's what this race means. He just stamped his ticket to a whole new world of the sport, and I just couldn't be more proud of him. He's one of the nicest guys we race with.
I was going to say exactly the same thing.
Always when you see something from the other side, you remember, when you're on this side, you think, I'm nervous and this can go wrong, but when you're on the other side, you think it's better to be on that side.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I mean, when I was watching the first hour, and they were showing replays of the crashes and like all the moves and how crazy all the moves were, and just I could tell how stressful it was. I was like, I don't really miss that. But then once we started seeing the images from 3 hours in, 4 hours in, I was like, oh, I want to be out there.
Yeah. It was so fast, man. 50, 55 all the time.
Good tailwind. Finally, you were in the front.
Yeah, finally, man.
I mean, you still had bad luck, but you were in the front of this.
Yeah, I'm so happy, It's always disappointing if you cannot be there, and it's so hard mentally to then do the last. It's already really hard, and when you're in shit position, it's double as hard. So many stories in this race.
I know, always. Man, it was crazy in the women's race. 2 women that finished in the top 5 absolutely smashed so hard, like crashed super hard. And it just sort of made me realize how gnarly this race is. I mean, how often do you see in a race that 2 people on the podium had really bad crashes?
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
Even Keegan crashed.
Yeah, his crash was gnarly.
What was it? Did you see it?
Yeah, they showed a replay. He just hit the wheel in front of him. Again, same as last year. Yeah. Straight road. Unless someone else made the mistake, it was a little bit hard to tell.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, I'm gonna go say hi to Ivar.
Yeah, cool.
In second place from Durango, Colorado, great job to Nichole Baker. These are your female 30 to 39 champions. Great job to Joyce.
So, should I address you about wrapping up, or should I be telling Taylor? Taylor, the weekend is done. Yeah, it was interesting. I thought about you guys a lot. I mean, that might sound obvious because I was commentating on you, but it's weird. I felt like a kiddo at Disneyland that sort of got lost
Or it's too short for the rides?
Yeah, and like my family was off, you know, doing their thing, and I didn't really know where I was, and I was missing being with my family.
But I'm sure it was cool to like watch the dynamic of the race play out from like a 10,000 foot view versus only seeing it from the race perspective.
It was seeing the race from a different angle was extremely eye-opening.
Yeah.
Just because when you're in it, it feels really violent, obviously. And that doesn't come across on the TV.
Yeah.
It feels just like chaotic and scary and stressful, and like at any moment something crazy could happen, and you're just always so on edge. And that doesn't really come through the TV screen, but what did is just the speed.
Yeah.
Like the speed that we go to see that from a bird's eye view was really eye-opening.
I want your opinion on, like, obviously the speed during the race feels violent, especially like the accelerations, but it doesn't really translate to a TV screen. Like,
oh, the change in
the accordion effect.
Yeah.
You being in like the odd end that you're out of this race because of your injury, but like knowing it, could you see that on TV?
Yeah. I mean, you could see, because the thing is, we could tell when people at the back of the group were just freewheeling and coasting, and you could immediately, you'd know, okay, this group isn't working together.
Yeah.
And then at other times, like when Keegan crashed, for example, we saw his crash, they played it on replay on slow-mo, and then to see the determination he had immediately to get back to the group was amazing. And then they cut away right as he was getting close to the group, went to a different group, and then a couple of minutes later they went back to his group, and he was on the front splitting that group, and it was just completely strung out, little gaps between, and it was such an interesting, I'm really glad that moment was captured, because one, it showed how ruthless this race is and how the people that are successful can have a complete rock bottom moment and then somehow change their mentality and go on offense shortly thereafter. But then also just the speed that it had on full display was just incredible, because the dust, and then now and then they have this sort of side-on shot, and the speed that the world was just whipping by at was just crazy.
I feel like too, like that group that Keegan was in, for example, the race it's so hard to get it to play out in like a more racy way 7+ hours in. If you get one or two people in a group of 8 to 10 that are motivated, like that can motivate everybody else, then the race turns back on 7+ hours in.
Yeah.
Which is so weird to think about.
No, it's so true, how it ebbs and flows. And that was one thing that I was a little bit worried about, is whether the TV coverage would be able to convey how tactical it is, and how where people fall in the results sheet can just really hang in the balance of, is this group going to work together? Is there going to be a crash that, you know, somehow creates tension, and then that snowballs into the group working together? You know, all these tiny little nuances, because I think as this race has developed over the last couple of years, we try to tell the outside world, like, you know, the tactics were like this, and it was super road racy, and it was really negative when we throw these terms out there, and people are like, well, why didn't you just ride harder?
It just looks like you guys are pedaling by.
Yeah, like, why didn't you just try harder? But the camera angles and the way we were able to talk about it, I think really showed what, like, not having cohesion in a group does, and having the time gaps. And it's like, these two riders are just pulling back time on this group of 12 hitters. Like, how is that possible? But you could actually see it unfolding.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons I'm so excited about what this could mean for the sport moving forward, because it's going to, like, the outside viewer who hasn't been in these races like us can understand how it's way more than just riding hard for 200 miles.
This race, more than any other race, I feel like, it's like if you read a book and you're like, you tell all your friends, like, you got to read this book.
Yeah,
you got to read this book.
That's so true. Yeah.
Like, because there's a start of a new book every time at 5:50 once a year in downtown, and nobody really knows like the ins and outs of the story. Like, they can see kind of they read the back of the book by watching it on YouTube, but having you in the studio and like telling those storylines throughout the day and like giving a real insider's perspective, I think is going to be really valuable to the viewer and hopefully like the sport moving forward, right? Because they can understand those little storylines. And
you know, I got the download from you in terms of how your race played out, but I think it's also important for the viewers to see that like you can just have your heart ripped out for no reason other than just being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yep.
And when I got back to the house here and saw the mechanical you had and how it was so 1 in a million, and just knowing what form you were taking into this race, it was just like such a gut blow. And again, it goes back to like you're gonna have to try to share the story of how that unfolded in a succinct way on, you know, social media or however you end up doing it. But if we could have seen someone plowing into the back of you and then you looking down at your bike and just that moment of like, you know, recognition of what had happened, I think that would take people's understanding of the sport even further.
But it's also like this race in particular, there's so much like zoned in focus for 2+ months for a 1 day thing.
Yeah.
That I feel like a lot of us, if we don't, like there's so many variables out there, right?
Yeah.
Not only do you have the variables in the 200 miles, but you have the variables in the terrain, the weather, the like potential for the body just to say no at mile 100. But like, if we can all kind of understand that the likelihood of something going wrong that's out of our control is higher on a day like this, I feel like the easier it is mentally to kind of accept it.
It's true. And I was gonna ask that because, you know, 2 weeks ago you won Rule of 3 and you beat one of the top racers in gravel. You just rode him off your wheel. And having done that, as you know, putting myself in your position, you had to have been going into Unbound knowing on the one hand, okay, it's Unbound, anything could happen. I could make it 5 miles and have a destructive crash and not be able to continue, or everything could fall into place. I use this fitness and I'm racing in the final selection.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, the former option happened.
Yeah.
You've been doing this a really long time, and I'm just curious like how you're doing this morning when you look back, because it's such an empty feeling of everything was there except the luck, and now somehow I just have to compartmentalize and move on because there's another race coming soon.
Yeah, I mean, I think I always try and like talking with Kenny about it, like there's a lesson to be learned in everything that goes on out there. And while yes, I think it was bad luck, like quote unquote bad luck, I also think that there's things that I can learn and do better to like mitigate those risks in a way. Because you know how it is like if you position yourself well, it doesn't matter how well positioned you are, if you're not in the front 5, like you're gonna feel that accordion effect.
Yeah.
And I think just taking a positive away from it is like, okay, there's something that I can do to kind of mitigate those risks moving forward, and just positioning myself a little bit better. And like, I think that that's kind of my fault for, I probably could have been positioned a little bit better to reduce the chance of something like that happening.
That's true, but I mean, you also said you dropped into that section like top 35 and there were 181 starters.
Yeah.
It's such a high bar. Like, even though, okay, maybe you could have avoided the crash if you were top 20, you still had 150 people behind you. Like, you did a good job, and that's I mean, when Keegan went down, he was in a group of like 8, perfect strung out line, basically as low a risk scenario as you can have in this race. Touch of wheels, and he just absolutely slammed. So it can just happen at any time. But I hear what you're saying. What do you think you could have done besides be top 15 instead of top 30?
I think, like I was telling Kenny, like when those accordion effects happen, instead of accordioning it like in a straight line, doing the best to almost like find an out.
Yeah. Okay. Right? Have an escape plan.
So like position yourself to almost like put yourself in the gutter to not go down. But then that mitigates risk from at least both sides. It just
it's a great point. And it's one of the things last year that was so eye-opening for me with the mountain bike tires, is I was doing that, going into that section, Car Reserve Road, and I remember the Bahrain guys with Mohoric just lined it up, and I got on their right side, and there was this huge like fan effect that happened across the road, and I got pushed completely off the road.
Yep.
And because I had the mountain bike tires, I could just like monster truck through the grass and survive it, and dropped into that section in really good position.
Yeah.
But I do think you're right. But at a certain point, man, if you just look at all of the top riders that weren't able to finish yesterday or completely limped in way further down the results sheet than you'd expect, this race is such a lottery.
Yeah.
And that was going to be my last question, because I know you need to get off to the airport, but you come from years of doing the 350.
Yep.
You've won the 350 here. I know you had some nervousness about doing the 200 because it's a completely different race.
Yep.
But when I asked you how positioning went into that first selection point, I was just hoping that you were going to give me a positive answer, because like that's the key difference, right? You know you have the fitness, you know you can go the distance, but how is it going to be navigating the bunch?
Yeah.
And you were doing it pretty damn well, and it sounds like you want another crack at it. Like you're ready to kind of compartmentalize, take what you learned and take it into next year.
Yeah, I mean, I was definitely sad to miss out on the XL, but at the same time, change is good, right? Like doing something different, keeping it fresh. And while the 200 is a total, like it's a new beast to me in terms of like the intensity and like basically just the violence in the group in terms of accelerations and splits and stuff like that, I thoroughly enjoy that like exciting type of racing.
Yeah.
Because it keeps you on your toes the whole time, right?
Yeah.
And 200 is still a distance where I feel like I can thrive like past that 7-hour mark.
Oh,
like that's kind of where I feel comfortable. So I think next year we're gonna come back for the 200 again. Like,
hell yeah.
The XL will always be there, and I think the XL is gonna continue to get more like competitive and faster. Like this year was a perfect example of how many stat guys were in the XL, and I think that's always gonna be there. But like we're not getting younger.
Yeah.
And the 200 almost, I think there's an age where like we have to take advantage of that, of at least trying. And so, yeah, I think the 200 was something I was really nervous for.
Yeah.
But also it kind of ignited this excitement for next year.
Yeah. It didn't feel overwhelming to you in the moment.
I will admit, like leaving town, I thought it was going to be neutral, and it was far from neutral.
It is so not neutral.
And
it's
so,
one of those fake neutrals where you're doing 30 miles an hour.
Yeah. And so I think that was very eye-opening and shocking in a way, but it also leaves me excited and wanting to experience more versus just experiencing the first 40 miles.
Nice.
So.
Nice, man. Well, I'm sorry for your bad luck, but
it's all right.
I think there were some big positives from it, from what I can tell.
Yeah, and good job in the booth. That after the mechanical, we did feeds all day, and we were watching the finish for the men's and women's, and you and Meredith and everybody did an awesome job. It was pretty fun to watch.
And we should mention, you called the winner. You literally predicted Cam Jones, and at the time I was like, really? You're like, I think he can do it, and bam.
He's such a horse, like such a workhorse.
He is.
Yeah.
Sweet, Taylor. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
That was fun. How much would you usually spend on a day like today after Unbound?
What do you mean spend?
Spin the legs. For how long?
I'm usually, a super unstructured person.
Really? What? No way.
People think that I'm like super on top of things, but like we're always like super like last minute with packing our stuff.
Really?
So last year, yeah.
Oh, this makes me feel so good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm honest, I'm a super ambitious person. So I actually talked to the other Kenyan girls before, and I said, I'm not racing for a top 5. I'm here to win.
Yeah.
So of course I wanted to win, and yeah, that was also my mindset for sure before the start. I must say that I surprisingly wasn't that nervous because I felt prepared.
Yeah.
And I knew that I was in good shape. But I also know that the Unbound is unpredictable and there's so many variables.
Yep. And
that you have to overcome in the race. So yeah, I was actually quite calm before. But I also knew that this year with like really large teams like the pass team and the specialized team, that it would be like a hard job to do.
Yeah.
Because I knew that I was probably the most marked rider in the race.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just decided to be as calm as possible, position myself well, and I was ready mentally that I had to jump with all dangerous attacks.
Yeah.
Yeah, so actually before the race I felt pretty good, pretty calm.
I mean, this race is always chaotic.
Yeah.
But I think one thing people don't realize is we often don't know who's going up the road or what the gap is.
Exactly.
Or even if there is someone up the road.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
How did that happen?
So actually there were already really early on in the race multiple crashes.
Yeah.
Already on the flat section, I think the first crash after 5K, I managed
5K.
to. Yes. Cool. I managed to avoid all of them, even though sometimes the rider went like down right in front of me, but could always luckily hold it up. But then once we entered the first really technical section, road divide, it was surprisingly ruddy and muddy, and I think that's also on me. I didn't really check that section anymore because the entire week was raining, so I never went down there.
Yeah.
I actually entered in okay position, I think in like 5th wheel or so. But yeah, unfortunately the rider in front of me and Herike Schröers went down and we went over that rider.
You ran over G?
Like G and me went over the rider that crashed in front of us. And we were both like face down in the mud. Yeah, and then to be honest, when I was back on the bike, I saw a little group in front of me and I managed to close that down pretty quick, and I could just see something brown in the far. And then I asked, like after a couple of minutes, who's up the road, and someone said like, yeah, there's one pass girl, I think it's carrying me up the road. And I was like, okay, that's pretty dangerous, but I was like, okay, it's one girl, you know?
Yeah.
And then it was only at kilometer 80 or 90, so just before, like 20k out from the Almafit zone, that we rode up to an early brake rider that went really early. And I asked her, hey, how many people are up the road? And also, is there any chance that Lauren Stevens is in there? Because I haven't seen her.
Oh yeah.
And she's like, yeah, she's in there. And oh, there's not one power rider, there's two. And I was like, fuck.
Yeah.
And then I was like, do you by any chance know how far out they are? Yeah, I don't know, but at least 5 minutes.
Oh.
And at that point I already like was like, shit. But that wasn't the worst because I was also already riding for more than 20k on a flat front tire.
Really?
So yeah,
yesterday?
Yes.
What?
I punctured at kilometer 70. So I think I rode like, what is it? 45k on my insert to the feed zone.
Oh my god, just like last year.
Just like last year. But this year, fortunately, like I had a wider insert, so it was fine, and Kenyon gave me an ultra quick wheel change together with the Mark guys.
I saw the video, that was cool.
Yeah, exactly. So that was at one point Morgan, G and me, we tried to form like a little ally.
Yeah.
Because even though G's from Specialized, I think she also likes good racing, and she decided, come, this is boring, let's try something.
Yeah.
So the three of us, all from Girona, we tried to collaborate a little bit and tried to make a move stick. And we actually eventually rattled the group down a little bit to like 8 or 9 riders.
Yeah.
And then there was a little bit of cohesion, but then again it went out. And then ultimately there was this water creek where I was able to launch another attack and actually drop the entire group. And then only Lauren, De Crescenzo, Sophia and Cecile Lejeune could...
It was down to 4.
We were down to 4, exactly.
So left,
I think considering all the things that went wrong, I should take pride in the 4th place.
Yeah.
But of course, if you're hungry, you want to come to win.
Of course.
So yeah, I'm moving on from this one, and I think the shape is there. So let's hope for a bit of good luck for the next races, and then I'm sure there will be some good results.
Yeah. So let's talk about equipment, because I've noticed that you've done a lot of tinkering, it seems like. Like, it's clear you did your homework.
Yes.
Last year you did this race on narrower tires.
For sure, yeah.
And this year you're on the mountain bike tires.
Yes.
Talk to me about that decision and how you decided that was going to be a better setup this year, even though last year was obviously a successful race for you.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, everyone that has been to Emporia or to Kansas Gravel, the Flint Hills, knows that those stones can be pretty sharp.
Yeah.
And funnily enough, I also actually rewatched your YouTube recap from Unbound.
Oh yeah.
And I saw how nice and easily you could always like move up on the sides.
Yeah.
Like before an important section. And I mean, to be honest, I also look a lot at the research that is done.
Yeah.
And actually, due to the reduced vibration losses from the higher volume of the mountain bike tires on gravel that is maybe already this chunky.
Yeah. Which is pretty smooth.
Which is pretty smooth.
Yep. But it's still bumpy.
But it's still bumpy. So there actually the MTB tires already roll faster. So for me it was like paired with the safety of reducing puncture risk, almost like a safe bet, because I knew I had the legs.
Yeah.
So I was like, why should I risk it? And I think even, as I said, like it's often even the better choice, and even allows you to roll faster. So I just decided to upgrade to 2.2s.
Yep.
The Conti Dappentals. And then I was running them on the SRAM SW Zip wheel set.
Yep.
The nice thing about this wheel set is actually that it has an integrated tire pressure sensor, which I connected to my head unit.
Yep.
So actually, when I suffered my front flat, I could see, okay, I'm still running on 7 psi.
Oh, you could see it real time.
I could see it real time.
That's so cool.
So that was actually quite helpful, because I was like, okay, of course 7 psi is not a lot, but I'm also using an insert.
Yeah.
So I think I can make it to the feed stop to get a wheel swap there.
That's amazing. So you could see in real time, okay, I have just enough pressure still, like it's sealed with just enough pressure that it's worth continuing to roll.
Exactly.
And then do a wheel change at the aid station rather than stopping and trying to fix it yourself.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know if you had that in the past, but sometimes you're also in a race and then you're like, I mean, now this was kind of like a significant flat, but sometimes you have it like that you have these like ghosts, right?
Yeah.
That you're like, oh, I have a flat.
Yeah. You think you do, but you're not sure. It happens all the time.
It happens all the time.
Now you can be sure.
Yes, exactly, and that's super helpful. So I really, really like it. And it's also even good, like, because now in training, I can kind of like real time see what pressure I'm running.
Yeah.
Or if I'm actually testing equipment.
Yep.
And it really gives me a lot of insight. So
that's cool.
I really like that.
Okay, so I have to ask, this is one of the coolest little customizations I've seen for a while. You have a blip on your head unit.
Exactly.
Explain.
Yeah, so I actually have 2 blips on my head unit,
really?
Or like
one blip. I see the one underneath.
Yes, so 1 blip on the front and 1 below.
Yeah.
Because as we know, Unbound Gravel, while it's chunky, really chunky at parts, it's also really smooth and really fast at other parts. So if like the gravel is not too crazy, like here, you can actually go in the puppy paws position, and then you can still shift.
And you're shifting.
Yes.
Oh.
And that's actually quite helpful.
When did you come up with that idea?
Yeah, actually together with my partner, who's like an absolute like tech nerd when it comes to bikes.
Yeah.
We were thinking, okay, the puppy paws position is nice, but I was like, oh, I always have to go out of the position when I shift.
Yep.
And then we were like, isn't there a way how we could like kind of, you know, get around that? And then I saw that some people had the blips below the handlebar, and then they were like just reaching over.
Yeah.
But I still felt that it was additional effort. so then we were like, can we just put it like on the Karoo?
Yeah.
And then actually Paul did it together with Sam Watts from SRAM, and they glued it on, and I already tested it at the tracker, and now I think this is gonna be my standard setup.
Yeah, I was about to say, I might have to look in my box of SRAM parts and pull out a couple of new blips.
Yeah.
That's pretty clean.
Yes, I can really recommend. I like it.
That's cool. Okay, the last thing I wanted to talk about that I think is just amazing about what you're doing right now is only half of your career is on the gravel. The other half is with Canyon SRAM, and it sounds like you have a pretty big race coming up soon. You're going to switch gears, switch tire widths.
Yes. Oh my God.
I'm guessing the UCI will not allow blips on your bike computer, if I had to guess.
No, I don't think so.
What do you have next?
So next I'm traveling to Switzerland for no less than the Tour de Suisse, which will be my first stage race actually with the team.
Yep.
And I'm super excited for that one. I already checked up the lineup. We're going in with Kasha as our defending Tour de France champion.
Yep.
But there's also really good competition from all the other teams like Demi Wollering, Martin Rosa. So I think, it will definitely be a hard day in the office for me in a different role, supporting the team. But I'm actually super stoked and excited for it.
That's awesome. That's so cool. And this reminds me, you did Roubaix for the first time this year. And not only did you finish, but you finished very respectably. When I saw your result, which was, I think, right around top 30.
Yeah.
I have to assume you weren't team leader for that, with it being your first time.
Yes.
And yet you still finished top 30. First of all, tell me about the ride in general, like what it felt like to do that effort, maybe in comparison to, say, Unbound, and then also just the carnage of that race, and if the chaos that everyone always talks about, does it compare at all to gravel? Is it worse? Is it not as bad?
Yeah, I must say I remember vividly texting my Girona gravel friends after the race.
Yeah.
If you thought Gravel Worlds in Belgium was stressful, come to Roubaix. Like, honestly, I think that was the most hectic 40 minutes, like the start of my life, because all the teams, including our teams, wanted to send a rider into the break.
Yeah.
And it was so stressful. Already from the gun, there were so many crashes. I think I hit my 5-second heart rate PB in that race, just out of nervousness. For me, I mean, we had really strong riders in Chloe Dygert, Zoe Buckstead, all of these like rouleur kind of riders there. So yeah, definitely not the leader in the race. Unfortunately, I had a small mechanical after the third cobble section, so I had to let the front group go. And then I think I was quite far back. But then, the gravel legs came into play, and I caught up with one rider after another until I think I got back into the group riding for top 20.
Yeah.
And then I entered the velodrome in Roubaix, and I didn't know in which position I was. And I just told myself, Rosa, this is your first time ever going into a velodrome. You're gonna keep it chill. You're not gonna crash out the entire group.
That was your first time riding?
Yes.
The first time you rode
so
a velodrome was the velodrome of Roubaix in Roubaix. That is so epic.
Crazy. And I mean, that's not even, from what I learned, this is not even like a super steep velodrome.
No, it's barely even banked by most standards.
Yes, but still I was like, I don't know, like, so I was like, okay, I'm just gonna sprint on the wheel of the person in front of me and roll over the line, and then finished just I think 31st. But I think it was a super great recon for hopefully another Roubaix showing in the future.
Thank you for catching up. That was really fun.
Yes, thank you for catching up with me.
It's coming along. Well, I'm gonna throw the bike on the car for maybe an hour drive, get a bit closer, and then jump out. Nico will drive the rest of the way, and I'll All right. Get my 6 hours in. Which I have to admit, you know, I race all these people. They're peers, but after this weekend, I'm feeling super inspired, and I cannot wait for a 6-hour gravel ride on the plains of Kansas. And I would not have said that a week ago.